Hey everyone, and welcome to the 1.21 Gigawatts Movie Awards for the year 2017. You're like, this is March, why are we doing this now? Because the Oscars is tonight, that's why we're doing it now, because that's when they do it, so, and we're equally
Yeah.
important.
We're falling in line, basically.
Yeah. I mean, the honest answer is that whenever we do it at the end of the year, we always end up in the next few months like seeing a lot of other movies that we missed during the year. So it was basically a bit of time to catch up and everything else we wanted to. And I still have a handful of things I didn't get to. Like there's still movies that I didn't get to, but eventually there has to be a cut off. Otherwise, we won't be doing the best 2017 movies until about 2020. So here we are. I'm Peter, of course. Matt's here with the hat and the glasses, and then the sort of the down below box at the bottom of the frame with the ginger hair is Connor.
I don't know why you struggle to say down below, like to really think of that.
I just said down where he belongs.
I thought of that, Matt. That's why I think I stumbled, because I thought that sounded too harsh. So I thought I'll try.
Nah, not for Connor.
I mean, it wouldn't have been any different to usual, would it?
No.
I suppose not. I suppose not. But hey, so what we're going to do in this is a sort of two-part series, essentially. This is the awards episode, and this is going to be us picking some of our favourites in different categories. Your actor categories, cinematography, screenplay, directing, the sort of biggie ones. We're not doing all the awards that the Oscars do. We've got about 8 that we want to talk about, because we don't want it to inflate it too long. And then in the next video episode, you're going to get our top 10 movies of 2017 from all 3 of us. We'll be rotating through our picks and that. So that is the plan. So we're going to start off this one with supporting actress. Right, we're going to start off with supporting actress. Obviously, we'll keep these conversations spoiler free, so that if you're interested in the movies we talk about, you can go and check them out without us messing things up. We'll mention if we've done reviews of these things as we're going, because some of them we've done reviews of in Gigawatts or in Flux or Overload, and even Streams in 1 or 2 cases. But some of them we haven't. So we'll mention that as we go to. So supporting actress, Connor.
Yes.
Who would you like to bring into this conversation for supporting actor? Now, it is worth mentioning, we're all going to make our own picks at the end of this, but we're all going to bring names up, have a conversation, and see where we go. So, Connor, who's your first person you want to name?
So, assuming I'm not butchering the pronunciation, I'm going with Daphne Keane, who was Laura in Logan.
I also have her on my shortlist.
I thought, fantastic performance, and really anchored the emotional core of the story.
I think she
yells a lot. It's true.
She does yell. Well, that's the thing. She's quiet for a lot of the movie, and then she yells a lot later on.
But she has a presence even when she's quiet.
She does. She does. I think kid actors, when they really nail something, it's doubly impressive, because you're so used to kids being awful in things that it really stands out.
I thought you were just saying you're used to kids being awful.
I mean, that applies too.
I mean, that's true, but I'm being more relevant to the conversation at hand, Matt.
Yeah. Oh yeah, but you look in the grand history of Hollywood awards, and like this type of award, the supporting and even sometimes actress, goes to a younger, like years ago in Beast of the Southern Wild, he had a 9-year-old girl nominated. So it's weird how that ends up lining up. Like when they don't have to carry something, they can really shine.
I think in this case, Daphne Keane's character was the heart of the movie, and I think even though a lot of the emotion was about Logan himself, I think when you come out of that movie and you think about all the emotional moments with him, they all happen because of her, and they all sort of land because of how she treats her reactions to him. So I think if she wasn't as good as she was, I think Logan wouldn't be as heralded as good as it is.
Right, she's a reminder of both, like what the future could be and what the past was, because it's pretty bleak in the going ons of that movie. So the fact, like, you have this girl that's reminding Logan of his time, and then also what she can do later, I think that's a real interesting wedge. And she kind of kills it for not having too many lines. Like, she's very expressive, and like I said earlier, she yells a lot. And not that that's bad, but
if anything, that makes Matt like her more.
Yeah, that's not Matt's alley. That's Matt's character there. Matt, what name do you want to nominate in there?
Yeah, so a little bit different from you guys, but Holly Hunter from The Big Sick, I thought she was really fantastic as the mom, and she comes off as like super intense, but the longer the movie goes, she becomes super relatable and very motherly throughout. So
a lot of good bickering with the husband as well.
Yeah, well, and even with Kumail, like her whole relationship with him, and Yeah, I thought she was wonderful.
We've got some good overlap here so far because I also had
Yeah,
Holly Hunter on my.
she was on mine too.
Yeah, just to keep that going, then I also have Zoe Kazan from The Big Sick on my short list here.
Yeah.
Too. Now she is supporting because she spends half the movie in a coma, so I can't quite call the other lead. Like, whereas normally in a relationship drama like this, you'd say they're both leads. Whereas in this case, no, there's a point in the movie where she goes to bed and she's there.
Yeah.
Well,
and she's but in her short time in the first act, she's super likable.
Yeah.
And like you click really fast with her. And
well, that's what makes that
any
movie.
other actress, I think, if you whiff on that, the movie doesn't come together.
I think with both of them, I feel like that entire movie hinges on the actual chemistry that's on the screen, and I think she brings that. She brings that A game. She's super likable, but not cheesy, not like just cardboard cut out of any romantic comedy person. She feels like a unique person in that role. So that's good. The other one that I wanted to mention as well is Laurie Metcalf from Lady Bird.
Also on my list.
There you go. Again, I think what she shares with the Big Sick pair that we just mentioned is how realistic and natural the performance is, because she feels like a mother who's trying to deal with her teenage kid, and sometimes she's just making sense, and then other times she's sounding kind of vindictive and like, you're maybe taking this too seriously. And there's a nice balance between that.
Well, yeah, and the way that she's put in that spot because she's the mom, and it's that movie's all from the daughter's perspective, so it gives the viewer that like, well, because I said so, and that's it. Like you don't get any more.
She could seem really villainous quite easily, but she never comes off as that.
No, she feels like a real mom. There's honestly moments where I was like, that reminds me of something with my mother a little bit.
Yeah.
Not the exact context, not the exact situation, but just the way she's talking to her. I'm getting some vibes that I remember from childhood. So no. Any other names anyone wants to throw into the ring?
I'll just mention Octavia Spencer. I think she had in terms of challenging roles to bring to it, a large part of her character in The Shape of Water is to translate, essentially, for the lead, who is, of course, mute. So she's translating the sign language for a lot of the movie. But she manages to bring a real character to it alongside that. That makes it really likable.
Yeah. So I guess we'll make our picks then. Matt, who's your pick for supporting actress?
I'm going with Holly Hunter. Not just because it's my own, but that role did, it resonated with me.
I love how we both said that we had, like both me and Car's like, oh, that was on my list too. That was on my list too. Matt didn't say that once. Matt was just like, no, I had mine picked. That's mine. Arms folded. Connor, what's your pick?
I'm gonna go with Laurie Metcalf. I think.
I'm going to agree with that. I'm also going with Laurie Metcalf. I think.
Picking moms.
Yeah, well, I mean, the moms were good this year.
Yeah, right. I just think it's funny that that in the biggest movies of the year, the ones that are the most well received, like these two, are the standouts, and they're both happen to be. No, I don't want to call them both difficult mothers, but they're both, they play their role well, almost as foils.
So we'll move on to supporting actor then, naturally, and I'll go to Connor first for the first name in the hat.
Okay. Well,
did I go to you first last time?
You did.
Yeah.
I thought it was Matt last time. Sorry, Matt, your first name.
Oh, Patrick Stewart for Logan, because Professor X, this is the first time I've seen him and it didn't feel exactly like Professor X in an X-Men movie. So the fact that and this is I didn't think about this before I said it, but he stretches his legs, I guess, as best as he can.
Weird side note, I'm currently playing XCOM 2, and as Connor knows, you name all your characters after, all your soldiers after characters and stuff, right? So I've got like a bunch of DC and Marvel characters, and I've got other characters.
Of course.
Professor X is like my Star Ranger in my playthrough right now. He is killing aliens by the dozen.
Oh, he's picking them off.
The Rangers are the ones that run around a lot too.
Yeah.
Or do they?
Well, to be fair, there's not a troop that has wheelchair powers.
No, there's not.
Yeah, but
is he at least got psychic abilities yet?
No, he's a ranger.
You can give him the psychic abilities, right?
That one's to be leveled up.
Oh, okay.
That would make sense.
You only give it to a rookie. Sorry, this is a complete tangent about XCOM. Matt, what are you saying?
No, I'm just saying that when you hear Ranger, you think range attack, and that's a telepath. It doesn't get much rangier than than a telepath. You can attack any point.
This is
anywhere.
more ranger, as in like a tracker.
Yeah,
Of.
someone who
okay.
runs in with a sword.
Whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's just in Logan. He is fantastic. The work he does with Hugh Jackman and then Daphne Keane, like he's kind of we said that Daphne Keane's kind of the emotional like crux of the movie, but I would put him there too. Like a lot of what happens is based around his relationship with everyone.
Yeah, no, I said she's the heart. I think he's the representation more of the past. He's the regret, what went wrong.
She is the other side. He's the past and she's the future.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's a fine pick. I would put in Sam Rockwell from Three Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. He has an extremely unlikable character in that movie. And it's to his credit, and I always say this, that characters either have to be likable or interesting. And by interesting, I mean, like, really hold your attention. You're always kind of like, on the edge of your seat watching what they do. And he kind of fills that. There's several times where you're not really liking him in the movie, but you're into what he's doing. You're paying attention to him. He's got command of you. And yeah, so I think given how much of a difficult character that it is to play, I think, and come out not just feeling like you're this, typical villainous character.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. He's an awful person, but he's not a villain.
No, because there's points that even though you don't agree with what he's saying, you kind of root for him to do what he needs to do. And then there's a point in that movie where he crosses a line, and you're just kind of like, oh man, how can I still root for this guy? And Rockwell still manages to pull it off.
I'm not sure where you were rooting for him in the entire first 2/3, Matt, to be honest.
No, if anything, the rooting comes towards the end where I'm like,
yeah, I disagree with that completely, Matt.
Well, that's how I viewed Three Billboards and why I didn't enjoy it as much as other people. It is one of those complex movies with Martin McDonagh, but by rooting for him, you want him to kind of just do your job and shut up.
You root for him in the sense that you root for him to be a better person. Like,
yeah, I'm waiting for the comments reacting to Matt saying he was rooting for Sam Rockwell and Three Billboards. I'm just waiting for that. Jesus.
Yeah.
No, again, he's a terrible, terrible person, but like Connor said, you want him to be a better person, and it's there. You see with how he treats other people. So
okay, sure.
Maybe I'm just more hopeful.
I kind of get where you're getting at. Although I wouldn't say you're rooting for him. He feels like a real person who could be better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Glad we got to the bottom of that one.
I know. Yeah. Jesus Christ, Matt. I was rooting for Sam Rockwell in that movie. Well, he was beating up gay people and stuff.
No context.
The problem with the word root is, like, I guess because you don't want to say sympathetic either, because you're not sympathetic to someone.
Oh, this is getting worse.
He is a layered character, and the performance is layered, and makes you feel like he's a real person even while he's being awful. Is that what you're trying to say, Matt?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, right, cool.
You're much more eloquent than I am.
Connor, what's your name you want to throw in? Get us off this, please.
For the record, Sam Rockwell, also on my list.
Yes, yeah, it is.
Yes, but I'm going with Idris Elba for his work in Molly's Game. As a fantastic performance. He really commands the screen. He plays off Chastain really well. And then he gives a hell of a speech. Amazing monologue that he can just pull out of nowhere.
Perfect combination of Sorkin and Elba. It's a perfect storm that builds right there.
He really carries that role perfectly.
Yeah. Any other names anyone wants to throw in before we pick?
Yeah, Michael Keaton in Spider-Man: Homecoming.
Okay.
It gets lost because it is a Marvel movie, but it's part of his renaissance coming from Birdman and Spotlight to something a little bit more light and fun as Vulture.
Hey,
Adrian Toomes.
I can't complain that I'm seeing Michael Keaton in more things again. He disappeared off the face of the earth for about 10, 15 years, and all of a sudden he's back doing stuff. Anyone else? Other names?
I'll throw in Armie Hammer for Call Me By Your Name.
Okay.
I don't love the movie, but his performance is really solid.
Okay.
I'd like to hear that. I wanted good things for Armie Hammer when he first broke through. He can be more than the Winklevoss twins.
I was just going to say, all I think about when I think of Armie Hammer's Social Network.
Yeah, but then you see him in The Man from U.N.C.L.E. and he's got some chops.
Yeah, he's really got a range for this role.
It's good.
Yeah. Okay, we'll go ahead our picks then. Yeah, I actually I'll give a male shout out to Ray Romano for The Big Sick actually, because he's not the best actor in the world, but he fit in that movie really well for what he was doing.
Yeah.
And he was surrounded
gets to
by
have the tension breaking moments.
and
he gets a lot of
he was surrounded. I mean, we mentioned two of the actresses for best supporting actress. He was surrounded by other people all acting their ass off, and he kind of held his own. He was there.
I think you have to give credit to the casting agent on that one. You know, whoever's job was casting that movie. Where, like you say, he's not the best actor in the world, but for that role, he was perfect.
Yeah,
he's perfect as dad. You know.
Yeah, that fit well. Anyway, but my pick goes to Sam Rockwell, because Sam Rockwell. There you go.
Yeah.
Matt, what's your pick?
I'm gonna go Sam Rockwell too. Just
because you were rooting for him so bad. Aye.
No, I'm not. But he
Connor.
is.
I'm gonna close it out with Sam Rockwell as well.
Oh dear.
I mean, arguably it's the boring choice because it's kind of the easy option this year. I feel
he's been winning everything up to this point.
Actually, shout out to Michael Shannon, the hero of Shape of Water.
Oh boy!
Don't get me started. Don't get me started. A very good performance though. Still,
he's so good at playing that.
Oh yeah, he's great as a villain. And I'm joking. Yeah. If you haven't seen our Shape of Water review with me and Connor, go check that out for context as to why I cracked that joke. Right, there is context. There's context there.
Were you rooting for him through that movie like I was for Sam Rockwell?
Not for most of it, but I don't want to spoil anything. Let's just say there's a certain incident in the sort of end of the second act where I maybe wanted the fish guy to get killed, and all of a sudden I was on Shannon's side. So
of course you would.
We'll leave it there. So we'll move on. We'll move on to the best score of the year. As in the music composition, and I'll throw a name in here first. I'll throw in. This is kind of a more light-hearted one, but I actually really like the score. Is Brian Tyler's score for Power Rangers. Because I feel like Power Rangers isn't really a movie we're going to mention a lot in this, I don't think.
No, I tried to.
Maybe if there was an award for best product placement.
Oh yeah, Krispy Kreme and Power Rangers. That's the thing.
No joke. After we saw the movie, we went to Krispy Kreme, so it worked.
Hey, if there was an award for like best shot of nostalgia this year, yeah, Power Rangers.
There's
best
award for Matt's wife pulling him down to sit down in the theater. That goes to Power Rangers too. Yeah.
So. But no, I really like the score. I think it had a really... Because this is the thing. Obviously, it integrates the main theme from the old show at one point. But for the most part, it does its own thing. And as I was leaving the theatre, and ever since, I've listened to the score again, I find myself humming the main little theme. Brian Tyler's a composer I like a lot. I discovered him way back in Bubba Hotep. Way back like 15, 17 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
He's been churning out consistently great work for years.
Yeah. And I think... I don't necessarily always love his scores, but he's always dependable, and then he's got the standouts. Surprisingly, one of his standouts I think is Expendables 2. I think that's got a great score. But he does all.
My favourite work of his is the Assassin's Creed 4 game.
I can't speak to that one, but that does not surprise me.
No.
Obviously, Iron Man 3 I think it's got a really good score as well.
Okay, it does.
That's one. So no, I give that. It's heroic. It's got because obviously that movie took more of like a sci-fi bent on the whole thing, and I feel like it sort of took the sci-fi, the heroic ideas, and kind of mashed them together and give us a kind of a unique thing, a unique theme for them. So yeah, Power Rangers. Matt, give us a name.
So I don't pay attention to scores as much as you guys, so I don't have. Really
so Sam Rockwell, 3 billboards outside.
Yeah. But that said, I did finally get around to Shape of Water last night, and I thought the score there, I really liked it. I think that's Desplat?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, and just the way that it uses music in general, like with the music of the time period, I thought really worked out. And it adds to certain scenes. But yeah, it really stood out, and it's one of those times when you don't notice the score, but then you do. Sometimes it's a good thing. So, yeah, that's fine.
Connor, here's a name.
Yeah, just for record, Shape of Water also on my list. But I'm going to throw out Blade Runner 2049. This is Hans Zimmer and Benjamin Wallfisch. I think it does a fantastic job of capturing the spirit of the original score, but doing something completely new at the same time. I think it's a fantastic piece of audio.
No, I had that there in my list as well. It's obviously very synthy, and I do like a bit of synth.
Yeah, it's so atmospheric, to almost to a fault, but I love it.
Yeah, but I mean, you can't. That's that movie, though, right?
Yeah, that
It's
movie is atmosphere.
Yeah.
yeah.
Another thing I want to throw in there is Daniel Hart's score for A Ghost Story. It's a very unique score. It's got a very unique, because it's basically trying to encapsulate what eternity feels like. So it has this like task, this monumental task of scoring something that most composers will probably never have to actually think about in terms of a mood, in terms of an emotion, and it kind of nails that through a lot of different styles. There's some times where it's got like really ethereal sounding stuff, and then there's other times where it feels like a more sort of upbeat kind of thing. It's very, like I say, much like the movie as a whole, it's got a very kind of specific offbeat kind of feel to it. And I think the movie, because there's so much silence in the movie in terms of dialogue, I think the music obviously is there to take it along with it. So it's got a very kind of almost silent movie kind of feel because of that.
I feel like this is a movie you're gonna throw in to Overload on me one day.
I'll tell you this right
So
now, Matt. You will love the pie eating scene.
Oh God, I've heard about the pie eating scene. And they go,
The reputation precedes it.
yeah, there you go. This is a movie piece gonna make me watch one day. And then you're going on about the score, and you're talking about the isolation. I was like, no, no.
Any other names anyone wants to throw in there?
I music's kind of at its core, but Coco. I think the score was pretty good in there. But it's animated, so that has a little bit more of a. I don't want to say it's more in your face, but it's definitely.
Oh, it does. It's. I mean, that's it. It Mickey Mouses it is the very the industry term for it is where it plays to the beats almost exactly.
Yeah.
And Coco definitely does that.
For the record, if I could argue that Twin Peaks was a movie, I'd be throwing that in there.
Look, if that was the case, I'd be agreeing with you, but it's not.
It'd be winning most of these awards if I could argue Twin Peaks was eligible for this.
You love Twin Peaks like Connor loves Star Wars. Like, you work it into everything.
That is not true. I only started watching Twin Peaks at the start of last year. That is not even comparable.
Doesn't matter. You can still love it as much. Like, well, you can't love your girlfriend because you just met her as much as
It takes time. It takes time. All right, you have to court for a little bit. Discover your feelings.
Well, then you're the creeper watching Twin Peaks from the tree. Then, like,
by court I mean date, not. Oh, Matt twisting my words. This coming from the guy rooting for Sam Rockwell and 3 Billboards.
You know what? I want him to be a better person. That's all I can say.
That's never hearing the end of that.
Okay,
so that's fine.
Yeah. Connor, what's your pick then for best score?
I'm going with Blade Runner.
I went Blade Runner. I very nearly picked that. It was between that and A Ghost Story. Really, I was kind of really torn by what to pick, and ultimately I'm going with A Ghost Story because Blade Runner 2049 is a fantastic score, but it is very much harkening back to the original score. It's very much a love letter to that and an evolution of it. Whereas Ghost Story felt very unique and it felt like a very new thing to me. So I think ultimately I have to go with that. But no, I can't fault that choice though. Matt, what's your pick?
Oh, I'll go with Coco. It's fresh in my brain, and it Mickey Moused it. So, and it needs more representation. I don't see it.
There's two reasons. Or it's fresh in my brain, which does not mean quality, and then secondly, he uses a term that Connor just used and taught him like 30 seconds ago.
Again, I don't pay attention to the score like you guys do. So,
Oh my god!
I heard you were doing score, and I panicked. I was like, yeah.
Okay, so we'll go to screenplay, Matt. Are you feeling better about screenplay?
Oh yeah, big time.
Okay, excellent. So we'll go to you first there if you want to throw out a screenplay in the right.
Yeah, so I'm sure this is gonna be on Connor's list too, but Molly's Game, Aaron Sorkin.
I never got around to seeing this, but I don't doubt that Aaron Sorkin wrote a belter of a screenplay.
Nice, tight. It's flashy where it needs to be. It's understated when it needs to be. And it's weird that a script
dialogue.
Yeah.
It's
always weird when it can switch tones like that, and you can tell it's in the script. So, yeah.
I'll throw out. Actually, I'm going to throw out a movie we've not mentioned yet. I'm going to throw out Nacho Vigalondo for Colossal. Because I think that's a really interesting little script for a movie.
Wow.
Where Anne Hathaway's character is a bit of a drunk, and she realises that when she's drunk, not when she's drunk specifically, but through being drunk, she learns that she actually controls a kaiju that appears in Korea, And obviously the whole thing's the metaphor is obvious. Your drinking problem's a monster, literally in this case. Yeah. But it does some really fascinating things with it later on, and it actually has some really deep characters. I think her and then Jason Sudeikis' character, who's kind of like the guy who befriends her again in her hometown, like there's like the way that they play off of each other, and ultimately what the story becomes about how their relationship goes. I actually thought was much smarter than what I was expecting going into the movie.
I agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah, I was expecting just sort of fun, and there'll be like a moral about drinking too much, but there was more of like sort of a tale about dependency and like putting others down to make yourself feel better, and there was a lot of really good stuff in there that I wasn't quite seeing coming. So I would give that a shout out. So that was a pretty good script.
That's fair. I think I wouldn't have that in my contention because I think there's a point in the movie where it tries to go deeper into its messaging and what it's doing, and to me that's where it loses some of its steam, and that feels like a problem from the script level. But everything else you said, I agree with. Especially the characters are fantastic.
All right, Matt.
No, Connor.
Come on.
Oh, sorry. Okay, Connor.
God, you prick. You're awful at this tonight.
I'm used to just being two of us for one of these, all right? This is getting confusing.
I know. But I'm going to go with The Death of Stalin. This is a comedy from Armando Iannucci. And it's so tight and over the top. I love it. It's just so witty in what it's doing. It's not like just actively jokes here, jokes there. It's very very smart in its humor, and I feel like a lot of that's in the script level based on his previous work as well. I
can't comment on it. I haven't seen it, but
me neither.
Yeah.
Way to go, Connor. That's why you're on the bottom.
I know, but see, I thought my other choices they're going to get mentioned, so I'll mention this one first.
Yeah, I've got a really obvious one that I'm going to mention next because I think Matt might mention it, but I'll mention some. See, I thought of this movie. I think I want to give that a script mention. Maybe not at the win, but I want to mention this for the script. And when I looked it up just to get the name, I was like, oh, usually when it's like this, you don't get a nomination because it usually means it's more of a hodgepodge. However, I do actually want to give a shout out to the Spider-Man Homecoming script, right? Because I think that actually does some really smart things. It writes Spider-Man as he's supposed to be written. It makes it a proper coming-of-age story with a heart. The writers here, and this is why I said normally you wouldn't give something a nom that has this many writers. But for the record, Jonathan Goldstein, John Francis Daly, John Watts, Christopher Ford, Chris McKenna, and Eric Summers are the writers on that.
Well, and I think the main two, the first two guys you mentioned, they're hot commodities right now in Hollywood.
Yeah, it's worth mentioning as well. They have story by credits, and then all of them are screenplay.
Yeah.
So
let's go. They just had Game Night just got released, and they directed and wrote that. They're I guess recently been named to direct Flash too. So it seems like Homecoming really was their coming out. So yeah, it's a good pick.
Right, Matt, you got a pick?
I got another pick. Get Out. I just thought this is a story. I've watched it a bunch of times since the theater, and every time there's a little small piece that I missed the previous time. And you would think, 3 or 4 times through, you've got it all, you've seen it all. But that story is just so, layered in that way. I mean, it really takes you can tell that Jordan Peele took the Twilight Zone kind of template with the morality tale and just turned it all the way up. And I think it was a success.
Yeah, Connor?
Yeah, I'm avoiding mentioning the other one still that I'm sure Matt's going to mention next. But
Skull Island?
It's not Kong Skull Island, I can promise you that. No,
I had to get that joke out there soon.
It's only a matter of time till you mention it somewhere. But no, I'm going to go to Lady Bird. I think it's such a smart script, such a very realistic sounding script, which is something I think can get lost when you write down the words on the page. They can stop feeling natural, and that never loses that.
So I'm about the age group that when the story's taking place. I was in high school during that era, and it felt like I was watching like family movies at certain points because it was just so authentic. Like one of the characters says like, "Oh, that's hella cool," and I was like, "Oh my god, I haven't heard that in like 15 years." Yeah. So yeah, I think it was a really good job by Gerwig. She wrote that too, right? She wrote and directed.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah. That's cool. Well, I have one more, but I'm sure Matt's going to mention it. So now he's got all this pressure to mention it. If he doesn't, then I'll come back to me.
We're both expecting it, aren't we?
Yeah. So Matt, if you got another one you want to mention.
I'm trying to figure out what you guys think I'm going to say.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Uh,
All right. Well, the other one that I thought
right?
Matt was going to mention was The Big Sick with Emily V. Gordon and Camille Nanjiani, because really good
Connor was
script.
going to go for that one.
Oh, that's the one I was like leaving for you.
Yeah.
As well.
Okay, well then The Big Sick.
Yeah, exactly. Again, it's funny because I think a lot of the reasons why I praise that are very similar to why I praise Lady Bird for the same things, is the natural characters and the way they bounce off of each other. Obviously, they have a slight advantage here because they're actually writing about their own story, but it does come off authentic, and it's always likeable and charming. And the characters, and this is not just them two. Like every character, both sets of parents, friends, everyone who's in that movie, they all bounce off of each other, and it feels like a sort of a tight knit unit of character work. And despite the fact that it's pretty long for what it is, it's like 2 hours long. It never, never.
You don't notice that until unless you happen to check the time at some point.
I think
I've been here for a while.
When me and Matt reviewed it, I think I said how it was kind of funny how it essentially has a 3-act structure within a 3-act structure, because Act 2 has its own 3-act structure.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. And I don't want to get spoilers and explain that, but if you've seen it, that might make sense. Act 2 has got its own 3-act structure, but
well, and each subplot works, to forward the, like, they tell you that in writing classes and whatnot. Like each thing propels the next thing. But this one, it's a really tight script that way, where Camille's relationship with his parents, and then his relationship with Emily's parents, and then his friends, like they all work in perfect unison, like Pete was getting at.
Yeah. So I guess we'll make our picks then. So Connor, what's your pick for best screenplay?
I'm going with Molly's Game on this one, actually.
All right, Matt, what are you going with?
I'm going with The Big Sick.
I'm going to agree with Matt and go with The Big Sick. That's my.
It was a close contention.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
All the three that I brought up, I really enjoyed, and I do think that the Academy has them all up in the same.
Yeah. I mean, I had Lady Bird on my list as well. By the way, like I just want to point out, like a lot of the similar names were coming up. So
it's a tough pick. I think it's a really good year for adapted, because they have them in adapted scripts. So. And anytime that works, that's good, because it's always funny when you see something that's up for awards. You're kind of like, how's that adapted? How's that original? But these all seem like they fit.
Yeah, we didn't narrow it down though. We didn't specify between them. We just had both. Hence me saying Spider-Man was eligible.
Yeah.
So
that is adapted, right? That's not original, right?
Yeah, because it's a pre-established character. It counts as adapted.
I mean, it was based off reality. Like all that happened.
Yeah. Unlike your hero Sam Rockwell and 3 Billboards Outside of Ebbing, Missouri.
No, that dude really happens. I've met people like him.
Actually,
don't them in real
thinking
life.
about it, since you love Kong Skull so much, were you rooting for John Goodman and Kong?
Not so much. More Samuel L. Jackson, because I thought he had a lot to learn. Try to be a better human.
Alright, let's get on to the visuals then. Let's talk about cinematography. If we can, I think I'll throw out one first. I think there's a couple of obvious picks that are going to come out, but I want to throw out one off the bat. I'm going to throw out Jung-Hoon Park for The Villainess.
Damn it, it's on my list.
Yes.
You guys are making me want to watch this now. I just found out about it yesterday, and now I'm gonna have to track it down.
Basically, there's the action scenes in this, and this is really why it's nominated. Is the action scenes are phenomenally shot. The opening one, which lasts a long time, is mostly in POV, and basically what happened in this opening scene is the director and the DOP might have well have come out on camera and looked right into the camera and said, "Hey, Chan-wook Park, you directed Old Boy. That was a nice hallway scene, but that was cute, but we're going to just top it here," and then they top it. That's basically what happens.
I think that's like the level of like high praise you can give this. This took what are the most iconic action scenes in recent history.
Yeah.
And when
Man with a Hammer.
we can do better.
Yeah, it just also happens to be Korean, funnily enough. But no, phenomenal action scenes. Then towards the end, there's a lot of actions with cars and buses and stuff. So it's doing really impressive stuff in that context. It is an insanely well executed action movie for its camera work. You feel like the cameras, and I always say this about good action movies, the camera should feel like it's part of the choreography. It's not just looking at the choreography; it's part of the choreography, and that is the beauty of it. So, shout out to the villainess, Matt. Throw in a name.
Yeah, so this is a movie that, as a whole, I wasn't a huge fan of, but I really enjoyed the cinematography of Dunkirk. Just the way that it handles the three different timelines, if you will. You know, how it stays up close on Tom Hardy in his plane scenes, and you're really constricted, to how vast everything seems with the soldiers on the ground. It just, you know, it handles, it's almost like three different movies, and then they edited them together. So
I think
it's one of the high points of that movie.
Yeah, I think that's a very fair. I mean, I don't have it on my list because I didn't love that movie overall either. But I think that's a very fair one to give it a nod for.
It's one of the only areas I would accept a nomination for that movie.
Yeah, there's two of them that I have, and I don't think we're doing the other category.
Or not. I mean, you can mention. I mean, I assume you mean editing and maybe sound.
Yeah.
The technical stuff, really.
Definitely the editing, because that made it stand out for me. It was the cinematography and there. But I mean, it's Nolan doing Nolan stuff, so.
Yeah, I mean, I think at the end we can throw out some picks for some of the other categories we didn't talk about if there's anything like really specific you want to say. Oh, that movie's just the standout in that area.
Boss Baby's running animated picture. How can it not?
Lego Batman was snubbed.
So
it wasn't that great, so it's fine.
Cara, who are you throwing into the wrong?
What are we on? Cinematography?
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, okay. Sorry, we went off topic there and I forgot what we were doing. Sue me. But no, I'm going to go with a foreign film as well. I'm going to go with Blade of the Immortal.
Okay.
That looks gorgeous. And again,
you didn't get the cinematographer's name, did you?
I didn't know, because
I
literally just wrote these down like 20 seconds before I came online.
This is just pure show.
You're a dick.
Who's the award? Here, the award goes to. Oh, I don't know his name, but they did this movie.
Oh, I'm sorry. No one else bothered preparing this much as you did. We just went, the movie, the style. Yeah, that's the one.
I took it seriously.
Matt probably hasn't even written them down.
No, I haven't. They're, clearly. But Pete did name all of the writers of Spider-Man: Homecoming. So
yeah, there's no need for that.
to a couple of minutes to go to IMDb, get some names. But
well,
fair enough.
I could have done that, but you'd have been pushed back to the start because I was running late.
Blade of the Immortal. Okay, tell us why.
I think it looks fantastic. It's got a really unique style to the way some of it looks, and the way it has its action sequences. Again, it's actually very different to the villainess, but everything it's doing is captivating, and it's the some of the strongest part of that movie is, as well as the emotional core between the two characters. It's the way it looks is the best part of that movie.
Yeah. I will throw in to the hat Drew Daniels for It Comes at Night. Which has some very stunning visuals. It's got a lot of tension, a lot of dark scenes, a lot of just one light source and a really dark sort of nighttime setting. A lot of really sort of creepy elements. That's a movie that was marketed as like a sort of heart-pounding horror movie, and it is not that at all. So half the people who see it hate it with a passion because they think it's this slow, boring film where nothing happens, like Timmy. But I rather enjoyed it. I think the cinematography is one of the big reasons why I enjoyed it. It looks absolutely gorgeous at times. It even plays with aspect ratios. There's dream sequences where the ratio gets wider, and it feels even more cinematic for the dream sequences. So very stylized, very very pretty. There's another one in the hat. Matt, you got another name to throw in?
Yeah, I got another one. Shape of Water. I don't have his name written down. So
we've established no one has any more names other than me, but that's fine. That's fine.
I'm just trying to play, Switzerland here. Trying to make Connor feel better. But that movie just looked gorgeous. Like, say what you will about a lot of the other things in it, but it looks fantastic, and that's kind of Del Toro's marquee, because his other films, like Crimson Peak, say maybe not the best, but it looked fantastic.
It was a bad movie.
I feel the same with Shape of Water, man. That's even my wife last night when we were done. She goes, "Wow, that movie looked like an actual fairy tale." So,
which is why Peter doesn't like it that much.
Coming from the Disney princess that she is, it's I think a resounding critique.
Yeah, Corey, you got another one to throw in?
Yeah, I'm going the obvious one because yeah, we've danced around it, but
Yeah.
Blade Runner 2049, right?
It's the obvious one. That's Roger Deakins that did that.
See,
Yeah,
I
that
actually knew
that
that one because I've seen so many articles saying this is why because it's so heavily nominated for the Oscars itself. So I'm actually seeing his name a lot.
Hmm.
yeah. Well, he's kind of the Gary Oldman of the cinematography, where he gets nominated. Not even Gary Oldman because he's only been nominated twice, but it's a long standing. He deserves it, and something always comes in
More the
and swipes.
DiCaprio.
Yeah, there we go. He's the DiCaprio of that. So I just remember a couple of years ago when True Grit was nominated, the segment that they used for the award, it still just sticks with me. And yeah, I know that's Blade Runner 2049. I
Yeah.
can't tell you the story. I can't remember the story, but I remember visuals.
Yeah, a lot of bright colours. Obviously, there's practical effects mixed with CG. There's a lot of stuff going on there. Really, really pretty. Another one I want to throw in actually is Andrew Draws Palermo, who did A Ghost Story. Very different style from these other flashier movies because it's very like far back, understated, a lot of wide shots. But some of the visuals that actually happen as the movie goes on are very like unique and memorable, and it really like. Sure, one shot might just be, Rooney Mara sitting there eating a pie for 5 minutes.
17 minutes.
It's not 17 minutes. That's
Well, it might as well be.
Reports of the pie eating have been greatly exaggerated. but it's very. But I want to mention it because it's a very understated. Again, it pulls back. It deals with the quietness of it, and the camera work matches it. It really matches the mood of what it's doing well. So when more extreme things begin to happen later on, it really feels like, oh crap, this feels like it's extreme in this world because they've really set up. And obviously, the balls to shoot in 4:3. In present day has to be.
That's the way you cut out the sludge. All right, okay, you're gonna like this movie. Well, you see it's in 4:3, and you go, oh, why are there bars? Don't bother watching it.
Yeah, all you plebs, go away with your.
I'm saying, if you're the type of person who will see that and go, ugh, you're probably not going to enjoy that sort of movie, are you?
Oh, of course not. Yeah.
I'll see myself out.
it weeds out the Philistines and the other dodgy characters you don't want to be in your art house theatre.
Yes.
Speaking of, Matt, you got any other names to?
No, I mean we kind of covered all of those, unless you really want me to bring up, Kong Skull Island. I mean,
that's not a serious suggestion, Matt. Shut up.
It's not, but no, I'm gonna put it in as much as I can.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm a little surprised you didn't pick up John C. Reilly for supporting actor. I was kind of half expecting it.
No, it's when we get to
You're not completely delusional. That's fine. Sorry.
No.
I kid. I'm making fun of Matt a lot today, but he knows I love him dearly.
I did have a list where I nominated Kong Skull Island for everything.
Yeah.
But for sake of brevity, I threw it out.
Oh dear.
I
Connor's
like how he
sitting there
didn't write
wondering.
an actual list for this, but he wrote that for Kong Skull Island's list. He wrote that in every section.
Yep. Alright, so I guess we'll make our picks then. I'm actually, as much as I put in like 3 other things, I'm actually going to pick Blade Runner 2049 because I can't deny the visuals of that movie. Visuals and music. I have some problems with the story. I didn't necessarily love it as much as everyone else did. I do think it's a bit overlong, but the visuals and the music cannot be denied. So
I'm doing the same because again, all the other stuff we talked about really good. Some great work, but Blade Runner's above and beyond, isn't it?
Yep. Matt, what's your pick?
I'm going with Dunkirk because I enjoyed Dunkirk far more than Blade Runner. And Blade Runner has some great visuals, but I think as a whole, the cinematography works with Dunkirk and what Nolan.
Hey, I mean, Dunkirk's got IMAX cameras like filming like on planes and he's doing extreme shit to achieve all that. So you can't look at it and not at least commend it for the effort.
Yeah, and that's that. I mean, I came out of that thinking like, wow, that looked cool. I just wish I cared more.
I love how he's picking a winner for something, but he ends it on a really negative note. I just wish I cared more.
I don't want people to think like I like Dunkirk. I just like
He's okay with people
to have that in their mind.
He's okay with people thinking he's rooting for Sam Rockwell and 3 Billboards, but he's got a problem with people thinking he like Dunkirk. All right, well let's move on to Best Actress. So I'm sure this will be interesting. So I'm going to ask Connor first for a name.
Okay, so I'm leaving one that I know I'll leave for Matt. He already knows what it is, but I'm gonna go with Saoirse Ronan for Lady Bird.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, she carries that movie, and it's a fantastic performance.
Yeah.
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 No, you've seen it. No, I want to jump in with the
Well,
agreement?
I would probably just I'd add to it. It's kind of like when we mentioned Metcalf for supporting the realism and the natural kind of thing where she's fully dimensional and she's not likable, or she is likable to a point, but she also has lots of faults, and she's not necessarily a hero. She's kind of like she's very flawed.
She's a person.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we all know somebody like her, you know, like
Yeah, Matt. I mean, someone else.
So my first nomination is my girl Jessica Chastain. From Always.
No, hold on. I need to like take a minute here, Matt, and like compose myself.
You should just take a breath. No one can see this coming. It's you know, but yeah. So we talked about this when me and Connor reviewed it. Is she almost has to play the straight woman throughout because she's carrying the entire story, but the way that she interacts with all of the other characters, Idris Elba, with Player X, Michael Cera, and she does a great job of just being that baseline and that narrator.
I think something that is a really good thing about performance is that she manages to separate the narration dialogue from her in-scene dialogue in a really interesting way. Because it's not just her reading it; it has a real sense of energy to it.
Well, yeah, like she's telling you the story as if she's right next to you.
Yeah.
You know, instead of just reading like Connor said in the sound booth. So it's just she's really good. She's very charismatic throughout of it, and you look at her and go, yeah, I believe this character went through all of this. Even when it gets to its, you know, there's some parts of it that you know happen because it's based off a true story, but they are dramatized. But the way that Chastain sells it all, it's like, oh no, this is 100% genuine.
Yeah, this is a character who has inherently done things wrong, but is so likable because of her performance. So yeah, she's on my list as well.
Do you know what? She could give the best performance that anyone's ever given, be the most lauded actress of the year, and I would still probably just assume that Matt picked her because it's Jessica Chastain in a movie.
Yeah, I think
I can't trust them. There's too much of a bias.
Does my agreement with this being on the list like give it some legitimacy?
Oh sure, it does.
Over it just being a Matt thing.
It does. But if it was just Matt, I would just be like, okay, Matt, I'm taking everything with a grain of salt because you got the googly eyes. So
I can't help it.
I'm going to throw out one that I don't think either of you are aware of this, and I'm probably going to butcher her name because it's foreign. But Garance Mariller. Marilia, it's French. I can't do French words, but she was the lead actress in Raw, which is a movie. It's a coming of age story about a girl who goes off to college. She's a vegetarian, but she gets a taste for meat, more specifically human meat, and it's basically the whole thing's an analogy for sort of becoming who you are at college, and like you've been cooped up, you've been like hidden away by your parents, but the animal side comes out. It's all this metaphor, and the idea that she's been very like brought up very conservatively, but then she the wild oats begin to sow, and it's like it's a really well done.
College makes you want to eat people, is what Pete's saying.
Yeah, it's a really well done but different coming of age story because it is through this lens of like a cannibal movie. And it's not really a full-out horror movie, but there are a couple of scenes where it gets a little bit disgusting. One
of the podcasts I listen to, they do a betting segment, and anytime one of the hosts comes across something along those lines where it gets super intense, could make someone uncomfortable. He holds it, tells the other guy, he's like, go ahead. Next time I get to nominate something, you're getting raw. So when Pete brought it up, I was like, of course he enjoyed that.
Yeah, there's some fantastic scenes. It plays with the metaphor wonderfully, and much like Saoirse Ronan in Lady Bird, she's like the centre of this movie. She carries the whole thing, and it's not as realistic because it, of course, is a kind of heightened version of reality, but it feels real at the same time the entire time. So, and she's the centre of it. If she failed, the entire movie would fail. She is what is making it all work. So that's my first nomination. Matt.
So I'm probably stealing this one from Connor, but Sally Hawkins in Shape of Water, the fact that she's playing this mute woman, but you never not know what's on her mind. Like she doesn't
very expressive.
Yeah, she doesn't necessarily need the words. Even in the scenes where she's signing, if you look at her face, you know exactly what she's trying to say, and it's a very physical performance, and it's one of those degrees of difficulty thing, I think.
But is it as good as Skarsgård and Mute?
I don't know. I didn't watch that.
That was just bait, guys. That was just bait for Connor because I need to get upset.
The fact that this was a straight up insult.
The fact that this was a Duncan Jones movie that I know Pete was just like, oh man, I know that could be true.
Man, I mean that's a 2018 movie, but when we get to next year and we're doing crushing disappointments at the end, that'll be in that conversation, I guarantee you.
Warcraft, poor Pete.
I know. I'll throw it. This one's more of a happy, kind of light-hearted sort of mention, but I really wanted to mention it because I was genuinely surprised, and Connor's going to realise that because he didn't like this as much as everyone else did. But Jessica Roth from Happy Death Day, I'm actually going to give her a shout out.
Good.
Because
I like that that's there.
I went into that movie not really expect. I mean, it was written by Scott Lobdell, and everyone knows how we feel about Scott Lobdell.
Yeah. I tried to put that name out of my brain.
You say everyone knows on the movie show.
I know. If you go watch our comics podcast, you'll know that we all hate Scott Lobdell. But he actually
he's Connor's favorite writer. We know
that's true. That's true. Yeah. That's true. He gets very defensive when we make fun of his writing and his character Red Hood. But anyway, so we
his character.
His character, yes, he's made it his own. So I think she's the again she carries the movie, but she does a great thing where it has that kind of Groundhog Day thing where she starts off as kind of a bitch, but over the course of the movie, as she's reliving things and she's like learning herself and she's improving, there's a proper arc. But I think what's great about it is that right from the start of the movie, even when she's being the complete bitch version of herself, she's still a little bit likable. The actress really carries it, and as the movie goes on,
she has that charisma to her, where you're drawn to her.
Yeah, and then as the movie goes on, she has more of a heart, and you can see her realizing that maybe she's, she could grow up a little bit, and she could maybe treat people a little bit better. It's all there, it all plays, and I think I came out of that movie being like, man, I really liked that movie, and I did not think I would, and I ended up really praising it with Tim when we did the review on Streams After Midnight. So, I'll give her a shout out. I think she's got a future.
Good.
I think she's going to get other roles, and I think she's going to, impress people in the future. Corey, you got another pick you want to throw out?
Yeah, I'm going to throw out Frances McDormand for 3 Billboards.
Yeah, I have that on my list, but I was saving it because I felt like that was the really obvious one.
I feel like, I'm at the end of my list now. They've all been mentioned, so it's time.
Yeah, as of mine, actually, I had Saoirse Ronan in there as well, but yeah, McDormand's the last one I had. Yeah. For obviously 3 Billboards, very aggressively dramatic performance, we'll say.
But again, much like we mentioned when we talked about Sam Rockwell, a very realistic character.
Mm-hmm.
That really,
it's funny because obviously Sam Rockwell's character starts off as just awful, and he's still awful by the end, but there's more humanity sort of bleeds
slightly
in.
Less awful.
Yeah. Whereas she starts off, you're super sympathetic because she's lost her daughter and she cares about catching the killer. But as the movie goes on, it's kind of the opposite with her, where you see all the flaws start to seep in more, and you see her grey area. Where they kind of cross as they,
And
I can't say she still or like carries the movie because Sam Rockwell's there, and we didn't mention Woody Harrelson, but they're surrounded by good actors, so it's very much an ensemble of good casting. But she really does like embody this angry mother looking for justice, and a very flawed mother who it's not just a case of she's righteous and she's right about everything. She's right about that maybe, but the way she's going about it, the way she's stomping on everyone else, there's a lot there.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I really liked her interactions with Woody Harrelson. I thought those were probably my favorite parts of the movie, were those two.
Yeah, because they were antagonistic, but there was a heart there. You could tell they kind of respected each other, even if they were, just sniping each other with insults and, So, good, yeah. So I guess we'll make our picks. Matt, what's your pick for Best Actress of 2017?
You had to ask? Like, I'm not
so
do it?
Obvious.
It is.
This is like Sean Bean being cast in a movie. You know he's going to die. Jessica Chastain was in a movie this year. Matt's picking her.
Shocked. But yeah, I'm not going to shock people here. It's Jessica Chastain from Molly's Game. I mean, I was looking forward to that movie, and I didn't even know what it was about. I just knew it was called Molly's Game. I was like, well, I'm going to go see it. Oh, Aaron Sorkin's writing and directing? Cool. Bonus.
My God, I can already sense. I mean, Matt actually wrangled his way onto the It review on Streams anyway, but I can already sense him wrangling his way on to It Chapter 2 because Jessica Chastain's in it. I can already sense it in the future.
As soon as I got out, I was like, hey, you know what? She did Mama with the director. She could play, the girl.
Hey, Matt, apparently they were going to do a post-credit scene with her as adult Beverly.
Shut up.
But they never contacted her about it and just kind of left it. But they always wanted her for the role.
God damn it.
I know.
They're so smart.
Connor, what's your pick for Best Actress of 2017?
I'm going with Saoirse Ronan for Lady Bird.
That is a strong pick. I'm actually going with Frances McDormand. So we're all picking someone different there. Yeah, there's just
all good picks.
Yes, all very layered. Well, I can't say for Chastity, I've not seen it, but I assume she was layered.
Is it weird that when I went to the Chinese theater, I hung out around her handprint a little bit longer than normal?
Yes.
Okay.
Matt, don't leave out the part where you were arrested for public display of affection, shall we say.
No. My wife's like, don't even think about it, button those pants back up.
Do you know I can almost see? I can almost see you getting his wife to have a big trench coat so she can block the view. Ashley, just block the view so I can get away with this.
But she did go, okay, it's time to go. Hey, look, the Roxy handprints are over here. And then I got distracted because, at the end of the day, I'm a 10-year-old child.
Matt's other true love.
Yeah, Matt's other true love. He's bromance love. Alright, so that was actress. Let's move on to Best Actor of 2017. I'm going to throw out a name first here. I typically pick one I use, but I'm going to throw out a name first. I'm going with an interesting choice here. My first name I want to throw out is Andy Serkis for War for the Planet of the Apes.
It's on my list.
Because the Oscars and seemingly most of the awards bodies are determined not to acknowledge that this man has been putting in great performances just because it's CG and because he's doing it with motion capture and whatever else.
Yeah. From last year to this year, like right now, because I'm gonna include him as Claw in Black Panther. That dude's been on a run. From Caesar to even Snoke, which that character didn't take your leave, but I thought he had the presence there with Serkis. Any other person in that role, it's a video game character. But with Serkis, there's a gravitas, and then Claw, where he's actually on screen tearing up the scenery.
I would argue Snoke is a video game character, but that's not the debate here. The debate here is how good he is as Caesar, and how much emotion. And this was he already proved this. He proved this twice already. This is the third time, and it's his character. He's been on this journey of a trilogy, and this final movie in the trilogy. All the emotion, the anger. The movie turned out to be more of a revenge story than I think we were anticipating. I did not know that going in, and the conflict in him where he wants revenge, but he's still a good, forgive the word, but person. He's a good person, you know, and he cares when other apes might not care about certain, and he wants to try and build the bonds. And that movie has some heartbreaking moments. It has some moments of joy. It has some moments of thrills. It is actually a testament that it is as fantastic as it is, and he's as fantastic as it is, and it's maybe still not quite as amazing as Dawn was, but it's still...
It's up there. And I think at this point we have to give a shout out to the technology of the Apes movies, that he can be so expressive. Like, he can be in contention for Best Actor.
Oh, sure,
through that technology is incredible.
Yeah, which I'll just throw in here as a sort of aside. Best Visual Effects of the year is War for the Planet of the Apes.
If that doesn't win, Pete's gonna set fire to things.
No discussion.
That's how I felt when Dawn didn't win. Honestly,
that was laughable when that didn't win.
Yeah.
I can see the argument on for Blade Runner again, because I think it has some really incredible effects, but War.
But not Apes. Apes doesn't work without Serkis. This one, without his performance, without him making you care about Caesar, it doesn't work. And without you can't have him in an old style ape suit. So they go hand in hand. So
he's phenomenal. Matt, throw on a name.
Yeah, so I was gonna go Serkis, but I guess I'll go here. I'll go Ryan Gosling for Blade Runner. I mean, he's does the cold, emotionless thing really well, but I think that's a skill.
No, I don't think you don't see him doing stoic that often. So I think it was interesting when he does.
There was, when he teams with who's the guy that did Driver, the
Refn, Nicholas Winding Refn.
Refn. When he does with Refn, he tends to do that a little bit more. But this is completely different than those roles, because you could tell there's stuff going on behind that, and there's a struggle at play with his character. Was it Kay?
Yeah.
His character's name? Yeah. And I mean, outside of the cinematography, that was my next takeaway from Blade Runner was his performance.
I mean, he's good. I don't know if I'd put it on the short list for best of the year, but I mean, I'm not going to fault it. But
wait till you hear my next one.
Oh God,
that's just entry level.
Oh dear, Connor.
Oh, the next one is whoever did the mocap stuff for Kong, isn't it?
Oh gee, that wasn't Andy Serkis.
No, it wasn't. I'll give
By the
you the
way,
name
I just want to point out, I don't know who made this tweet. It was a while ago I saw it, but someone said they were really attracted to Andy Serkis, and someone responded on Twitter with, "Yeah, but wouldn't that get annoying having to wait for him to be rendered in CG every time you want to go out for a meal?" Connor, throw a name.
Okay, continuing the trend of the low key ones, I'm going to throw in Hugh Jackman for Logan. Obviously we mentioned all the supporting roles, but supporting roles don't mean much if you haven't got the lead there to base it around.
Yep.
And he does the weary performance.
World weary, from the first time you see him, and you just know he's seen some stuff. This isn't the last time we saw him.
He's kind of just given up, and he's just kind of getting on through the day as much as he can, and it's fantastic.
Yeah, no, I can't argue with that. Then there's that point in the movie where he turns to Laura and says, Laura, we really are the last of us. Anyway, so.
Oh God.
I like that Matt still kind of got that joke even though he doesn't play video games. I like that.
Nope.
Yeah. Next thing I'm going to throw out here is actually one that I'm actually really pleasantly surprised that I'm throwing out something for this. But I'm going to throw out James McAvoy for Split.
Oh, good call.
Oh, Matt's mic's going.
Matt's mic's going.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a good performance.
I mean, he's playing like 23 roles or something like that with the split personality.
We need to really see 7 of them, but I believe the other 16 are there.
I think what I loved about it, beyond him just being really good at changing the characters and seeing him, play the artsy guy, seeing him play the mother character, the stern mother, or seeing him playing the 9-year-old or 7-year-old, whatever the age the kid was meant to be, is just as it goes on and the threat of him in terms of a horror movie. Like, the threat and the idea of him building to something else. Like, it really builds, like, a whole thing through it. It's almost like, through multiple performances, he's actually building... It's almost like direction through multiple, characters with the same actor. It's just hard. It's almost... You know how, a director or an editor will sit down and cut a film together to make it work? It's almost like, as a performer, he sat down... And I know he didn't. I know obviously he had a script and he did what he was told from the script and maybe embellished a bit, but it almost feels like as a performer he took the story and said, okay, how can I build this character story with multiple viewpoints and weave it together through different ideas, and it's fantastic. It's great. So
absolutely, it's a really great performance.
Yeah. Who's next? Who's been a while? Matt.
We started with me, so we'll come back around. And no, it's not Terry Notary who played Kong. And
he looked that up. He just looked that up so he could say the name.
Yeah, I did. But mine's going to be James Franco for The Disaster Artist, because that dude legit became Tommy Wiseau. And, I understand he wasn't nominated, and it's probably more for other reasons than performance. And
I don't know if
whatnot.
I agree with that. I think I think he's fine in the movie. I think it's a good impression of Tommy Wiseau. I don't know if I would say it's great acting.
See, I think he became, from everything that I've seen with Wiseau, though, I feel like he, I felt like he became him, and it wasn't just an impression.
I mean, it isn't an extremely good impression, just what acting is, essentially.
No. In short, no.
I mean, but I know I thought Franco was really good, because at times I forgot that it was Franco and not Wiseau, despite, this is the big budget and how this was made, and I never felt that with Dave Franco as Sestero or anybody else in that movie. I thought he was like the shining beacon of the disaster. It was just funny, and as much as I enjoyed it, he was.
I mean, I enjoyed Disaster Artist, but I think I enjoyed it more just because the story's that outrageous and the things that are happening are that outrageous. That it's hard not to get some amusement, especially if you're someone who's seen The Room. You're a fan of the absurdity of the whole thing in general. I think it works really well as a nice sort of trip down that story.
You kind of get a kick out of it, don't you?
Yeah, but I don't necessarily think that any of the actors or even the script or the direction, I don't think any of those things are actually kind of stand out on their own as a movie.
Okay.
If that makes sense. But I mean, it's your pick. You have your pick. Matt.
I really enjoyed Franco in it. That's all. I mean,
Connor, what's your next pick?
So my pick is actually another one of someone doing an impression, and this is this is getting nominated everywhere. This is the big one, but I don't think either of you have seen it, so I might as well say it. This is Gary Oldman. He's doing an impression. I can see you thinking about it for a second.
I know. I'm not fussed.
At the end of the day, isn't Andy Serkis doing an impression of a chimpanzee?
No! Shut up, Matt.
In the first one, he was for sure.
Oh man! Christ. No, but anyway, this performance is transformative. He doesn't look exactly like Churchill, no matter what people are saying. Obviously, he's got a lot of the makeup on, and he looks different. Understandably, he doesn't look exactly like Churchill, but he's got the mannerisms, the expressions, the way he carries himself, and then he does just such an incredible performance with all of that. He channels. I think that's the difference between him here and Franco with Wiseau. With Franco, he's got the mannerisms, he's got all that down, but I don't think he channels it into a spectacular performance necessarily, whereas Oldman does.
Oh, when I get around Darkest Hours, that's the last of the Best Picture nominees that I wanted to see. I've yet to see it. I'll let you know and see, so I can compare. But yeah, Oldman's so good in everything he does, though. Like it shouldn't be a surprise that he became Winston Churchill, right?
Yeah. I'll throw out another name. I feel like this one is cheating a little bit because he's basically played himself, but Kumail Nanjiani for The Big Sick, I feel like has to be mentioned.
Yeah.
Like I say, it feels weird to say it's wonderfully natural and feels authentic because he's playing himself, but it works.
But then again, he's playing a version of himself, right? That's
but I think he's probably the closest to himself out of everyone in that movie.
Well, because he is himself. Like everyone else is, obviously you've got the voice of Emily because she wrote the movie with him, but it's an actress playing her. It's someone else. Yeah. But yeah, he's the one who's just being himself. And obviously the fact that it goes into how his family treat him and how their beliefs are on that, and you feel like his reactions and his awkwardness and how he's trying to deal with the fact that his family don't want him to be like this. They don't want him to be like a mainstream American. They want him to be traditionally Pakistani and so on and so forth. It all feels authentic because he actually went through all this and he knows how this feels. So, any other names before we get to picks that someone wants to throw out?
I'm going to throw in Daniel Kaluuya for Get Out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which the big soulful eyes.
Yeah, again, I think his performance really anchors that. Obviously, it's got all the messaging, and we talked about the script already earlier. But none of that works if his performance isn't carrying off the fear and the misunderstanding and the reactions. Yeah, and like I say, they're inevitably going to show that shot with the tear coming down the face. At the awards, that's the one. But
to me, the strongest reaction there is how he responds to Bradley Whitford, just in their initial reactions.
Can I just say I loved that Whitford and then Jenkins in Shape of Water. Like my favourite pair from Cabin in the Woods are both in Oscar-nominated movies this year. That amused me greatly. Who, of course, was written by Joss Whedon, the creator of the hit television show Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
There it is.
Even in a show where Pete's like, let's keep this moving. Let's not waste time.
We're almost at the last category, so we're all a bit behind, but not too bad.
We're doing good.
Okay, so we're making our picks then. Matt, have you got another one to throw in before I rush you on?
Nope, that's it.
All right, cool. So Connor, what's your pick? Who are you picking?
I'm being the boring choice, but I'm taking Gary Oldman. Sorry.
All right, Matt.
How have you not seen that? I can't do that. But I'm going to go with Andy Serkis. Pete made the argument. I say it every time an 8 movie comes out. He deserves it.
I am actually also going to say Andy Serkis. He was my clear pick. Right, it was the first name I wrote down.
Yeah. He would have been my second choice, but I saw Darkest Hour and you guys didn't.
Yeah.
Alright, so we'll go on to Best Director then of 2017. The last thing for, well, we'll do a little couple of funny ones afterwards. You know, obviously I mentioned FX earlier on. There's one I want to ask you guys on the cuff to see what you say.
All right.
But Best Director, our last main award here for this episode. So, Best Director. Matt, who are you nominating first?
Oh man, so this one's tough. Not that tough. There's a lot of good, but I'm gonna go with Jordan Peele for Get Out. I know it's his first movie, but we kind of discussed this off air yesterday. He had directed so many skits and stuff on Key and Peele and elsewhere that it kind of seasoned him. So it shouldn't be a surprise how strong the direction in Get Out was.
I had his name written down as well. It's a very impressively directed movie. It's funny because I hadn't seen any of his skits or anything like that, so I went into this just kind of knowing he was known for being a comic with his buddy, and I remember just the opening scene, and it's this suspenseful thing with a guy walking down the street and like, oh, there's some danger around, and I'm like, oh, this is really well directed so far. And it was only one scene, but I'm like, this is starting me off on the right foot in here for this.
It's got style and tone immediately.
Yeah, he knows what he likes. And so that's what he's going to go for. There's an article that's floating around, and now I have to watch it again with the commentary. But it's like the things I learned from the Get Out commentary. And I guess there's tons of Shining references that he sprinkled without that are a little more subtle.
I think it's one of those things where anyone can replicate something, but you can only do it as well as like this when you understand why things work as well as they do.
He's clearly a fan. He's clearly, and I know he's been talking about his next project. He's like, it'll be a genre movie of some kind because I'm going to, knock your socks off again. So now he's a name that I'm like, okay, I'm excited to see what he does next.
Whatever he does, I'm there.
He's on the radar now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Connor, throw out a name.
Edgar Wright for Baby Driver.
I'm glad you said it.
What was so amusing about
that? That was like a really specific laugh there.
It was, wasn't it?
Pete's expression. I know how much he didn't enjoy that movie as much as everyone else. So
I mean, I liked it. I just didn't love it like everyone else did.
I do love it, and I think his direction really it knows exactly what it's trying to do, and he knows what he's doing with his movie, and that's enough sometimes to just pull off something spectacular. In my opinion.
I think it's a movie. Obviously, I mean, I think we'd say it's probably worth getting best editing. It's very well edited, very uniquely edited as well. But it is very much, like, I have to say, it is a bit of a gimmick. It's like, okay, this is the gimmick of the movie, and it flows very well and it works.
It is a gimmick of a movie in that sense, but I think a director that can take a gimmick and make that into a good movie and not just, oh, it's a gimmick.
Yeah. I don't think anyone else could have made that movie but Edgar Wright.
Oh, yeah. I have a lot of positive things to say about it. My negative points come more from, I think the romance is really thin, and I don't necessarily buy it. And then I don't like a lot of what it does in the third act. That's my bigger problems with it. But I think it's got a lot of style. It's got a lot of movement. You always feel like it's moving. There's scenes early on where the opening titles where the main characters are just going down the street listening to music, and it's just everything's got a flow. It's got a beat the entire time. So I love Edgar Wright. I just don't think Baby Driver's the best of his work, basically.
I don't know. I don't think it's his best movie, but I think it's in contention this year for best director.
All right, I'll throw out a name then. I'm going to throw out David Bruckner for The Ritual, which is a horror film. Me and Tim just did it recently, actually, on Screams.
I was going to ask you if I should watch this, but the fact that you put him in best director means,
it's funny actually. I remember Tim was watching it and he messaged us saying there's a bunch of Connors in this movie because it's an English film and you've got Rafe Spell.
Fiennes.
Ray Spall.
Wait, what?
The Spall.
Yeah, the Spall and Fiennes as well. The two different people.
Yeah, Fiennes is a different person. He's the main character, and he suffers this traumatic thing at the start, and they end up going, like, him and a group of friends go on a trip, I think to Sweden, to go hiking to like get their friend who died, his ashes. They're going to like give him a little ceremony up in the hills of Sweden.
They're going to be Nordic creatures that show up,
and they take a shortcut back through the woods, and oh boy, it's almost a spoiler to say where it goes ultimately. But it definitely starts off feeling like it's a little Blair Witchy because they're in the woods and there's creepy shit going on, and then it kind of escalates to other things. I will say the direction is the big standout thing. It handles everything exceptionally. Because how many films and horror movies have you seen in the woods? You've seen probably a lot. It's a very typical place to have a horror movie.
Is the answer.
Yeah. It never felt derivative. It always felt like a fresh. It always felt confident in what it was doing.
I think you say, how many is set in the woods? Because it's cheap. Because anyone could just go to the woods and go, all right, well, I can film here. There's no one around to get permits for.
Yeah.
That's why Raimi did the first Evil Dead out in the woods. Like, it was easy.
Sure. Well, I would say easy, but but it's very good. And I think what it does in the third act of the movie is the sort of thing where a lot of films might go downhill in the third act. Mm-hmm. It might they're explaining too much, they're showing too much things, and we're seeing stuff. As a word I could use very easily to describe what the third act turns into, but I don't want to spoil it. But it's handled so well, and I'll say there's some design work in the movie for later on that is some of the most unique design work I've also seen, which isn't necessarily tied to the direction per se, although he hired whoever designed it. But yeah, very well directed. A surprise, certainly for last year.
That's fair. I enjoyed the trailer. It had a tone, and it felt very natural. You say it's all these people from England, and they're going on the hike. They're talking about, we'll hike through this route because there's a pub at the end. That is something I have said. Like, I have planned a hike around where are the pubs, so that felt so natural to me.
All right, Matt, another pick.
See, the Peele was my main one. I mean, I could go Nolan, right? But that
you didn't like the movie that much.
You didn't want you don't want people to think you like
exactly. Exactly. So I'm just trying to think of other directing that really stood out. I was gonna go Edgar Wright. That's why I laughed. But kind of beat me to it. So I guess I'll go Guillermo del Toro, Shape of Water. It's Del Toro. I think he's not an acquired taste, but if you like him, you really like him. It really hits, and I think the way that he made his main character a mute and then put the story around them, and I think that the scenes are all directed really well throughout. Characters really pop, so yeah, that's all I got.
All right, Connor.
No. That was on my list as well, for the record. But again, I'm going to butcher this pronunciation, most likely. But Denis Villeneuve, I think roughly how you say it.
Villeneuve.
All right, fine, if that's how you say it.
Denis Villeneuve.
Sure. I'm not going to
just say it, Connor.
No, because it'll get worse.
Just get on with it. Get on with it.
Yeah. Well, obviously, Blade Runner 2049. I thought, we obviously talked about all its technical things, the cinematography, the audio, but all the effects, all of it comes together. And for me, at least, I know you two didn't enjoy it quite as much, but I think it's anchored with the direction of everything that kind of just makes it stand out for me.
He's a great director. He's a great director that a lot of people are seeing as the new darling, and everything he does is like gold to them. For me, he's been a bit more kind of, I don't like quite say hit and miss, but certainly on more of a scale back and forth, whereas I'm not just kind of outright loving everything he's doing.
He did Arrival, right?
Yeah, Arrival's my favourite of his, I think.
Yeah, that was great.
But yeah, no, that's okay. My next name I'll throw in, kind of obvious here, but David Lowery for A Ghost Story. I mentioned that a couple of times.
I have a feeling this is going to rank pretty high on Pete's list in the next video, guys. So tune in for that.
But here's the thing, though. Like the direction, again, much like the cinematography, much like the score, it's got a very unique style. It's very laid back. It likes to just like hold things back and let the actions play out. There's sometimes where it'll sit and you'll be sitting there waiting for the next thing to happen, but you're anticipating it and then it'll happen. There's a couple of neat little touches early on. It plays. It's a very hard thing to describe how someone achieves the feeling of ethereal. But there's ethereal. But it's ethereal, like, I think ethereal's maybe easy to do when you're doing something like, or you're doing a lot of effects and it's otherworldly or whatever. This is just a house. This is a condo. It's just like, people being upset that someone's died, and that's the movie.
The only movie of his I've seen is Pete's Dragon, which he only made so he could make Ghost Story.
Wow, same guy.
Same guy. It's weird. So he did Ain't Them Body Saints, I think, and then for whatever reason Disney picked him for Pete's Dragon, and then after that he's like, cool, I made a ton of money. Now I can finance this real thing I want to do. So I always admire that, where someone goes back to yeah, I can keep pumping these big budget things out, but this is where my heart
And
is.
yeah, and I think that's I always love when it. I mean, I didn't like Shape of Water that much, but I appreciate that it is absolutely Del Toro's film through and through.
Yeah,
Like that is the movie he wanted to make, and I feel like here, this is the movie that Lowry wanted to make. Like it is unabashedly his.
Yeah.
despite the
Again,
fighting
not
scene,
despite.
this makes you want to see it.
Yeah. As as much as it's not eligible, it's the same thing with Twin Peaks, isn't it? You know, it's like,
Oh yeah,
some people are gonna hate that, but through and through, that's Lynch's work.
yeah. It's completely him. He did not have to change a single thing to appease anyone. So it's completely his. Matt, you got any other names you want to throw in?
No, that's all I got for right now.
Let's go. Connor, you
I
got
mean,
any
it
name?
could.
Oh, sorry,
I'm
Matt. I thought you were done.
No, I'm sure one of you guys will cover some of the others, so that's why. Yeah.
No, I'm good though.
I've got another couple. I want to mention, obviously, Mark McDonagh for Three Billboards. I think it's worth mentioning him because that movie bounces around really serious topics and really, really funny stuff, and it just flows between them like it's nothing. That is
That's
talent
right there.
That is talent that he can do that. And then another one, a couple I want to mention, Trey Edward Schultz for It Comes at Night. I mentioned how sort of dark and it's a very tense film as well. I didn't mention that when I was talking about the visuals, but that film has some of the most tension I've seen in a while. Because it's basically that situation in like a post-apocalyptic movie where like you've come across these weirdo characters who live somewhere and they don't know if they can trust each other. The movie basically focuses on those weirdo characters who are just living in that one location the entire time. It's like
So it's their story instead of
yeah.
instead of the people that stumble across them story. It's their story.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's the story of the people who are just out there. So that's pretty cool. So that's very good. And the other one I want to mention is Kevin Phillips for Super Dark Times, which is there's a lot of coming of age stuff this year, but or for 2017. But Super Dark Times is a coming of age story. It's set in the 90s, and as you'd imagine, something really dark happens by accident early on, where a kid is killed. And it's kind of about how the group of friends like deals with that, hiding the secret, the tension that builds from that, and it is a very dark twist on a coming of age story about how broken people might end up. And I think there's stuff there. And again, it feels there's a lot of authenticity there. It has a lot of really good tense little moments where you can kind of see the bad things about to happen. You're kind of cringing, you're waiting for it, but and it hits. And I will say as well, the ending made a surprising sort of turn as what the sort of the final message of the movie was, which I thought, and I had to sit and think about it for a little bit, but once I did, I was like, I actually kind of like that. I like that it puts the entire film in context, and I think there's a lot of choices as to how to frame it from the perspective of our two main characters, and then how it kind of shifts to other characters later on is really well done in that sense. So that's the ones I wanted to mention. Alright, so I guess we'll make our picks then. Matt, what's your pick for Best Director?
I'm going Jordan Peele for Get Out.
All right,
all the
Connor.
reasons I mentioned earlier.
I'm going Del Toro.
Okay. I am going with Lowry for Ghost Story. So there you go. There's the Best Director picks. So that will pretty much wrap up this video. Although the one question I wanted to pose, not worst movie of the year, because I feel like that's Bye Bye Man, and if you're not picking Bye Bye Man, it means you didn't see Bye Bye Man. So the question I want to pose to you guys is the most disappointing movie of 2017.
Oh man.
I've got a couple of easy choices.
I've got one locked and cocked. I'll fire this out, and then you guys can fill in with whatever you can come up with.
All right, go on then.
But easily, Alien Covenant.
That was one of my options.
Yes, God, I hate that movie. It just came on HBO, and I check every Saturday. What's the new movie? And I got physically angry. Yeah, that one
easily Covenant. Nothing else comes close to pissing me off.
I don't even think it's like an awful movie. I don't hate it, but it's an awful Alien movie.
No, I hate it.
I hate it for being that, but I don't hate it as a movie on its own. If it wasn't part of the Alien franchise, I wouldn't hate it near as much.
Hey Connor, I'll do the fingering.
All right. I'm not saying it's a good movie. I'm clear with that. I just say you hate it more because of what it is.
Okay, do you got another one you want to mention?
Yeah, I do.
Go ahead. I'm going through my list from last year.
Oh, God.
I'm going there. Justice League.
Oh.
No, I can't be that angry this year.
I didn't like it nearly as much as you two did.
Oh, I like it's a bit strong. Like, I just like last year. Obviously, our answers were all Batman v Superman, right? That was obviously
Yeah.
2016. That was the answer. I can't hate Justice League this year. Because it's also expectations. Like, you know, after BVS and after Suicide Squad, it's not like
No, but you know the category here is most disappointing, and
oh,
as the first Justice League movie, I cannot measure the disappointment more than that.
I can't debate that because you're right, but. Yeah,
Okay.
as a first Justice League movie, yes, it is cataclysmically disappointing. But in context of what actually came before it, it's oddly kind of, wasn't that bad?
Yeah, in that sense, sure. But as of what it's supposed to be, it's so disappointing.
I wonder if Matt's found one that he wants to say.
I mean, it's going to be silly to even be brought up, and it's my own stupidity for
This is
going
The
in
Mummy,
with high
isn't it?
expectations. Oh no, that could be on the list though.
Yeah. Okay.
But I really went to war for Baywatch, thinking it was going to be thought it was going to be 21 Jump Street, like where it's going to have some fun.
You gave me
And then it was
shit
just-
because I didn't want to see
Yeah.
it. You gave me
I know.
shit for that, and then it came out,
No.
and it was like, you know, like whatever percentage on Rotten Tomatoes, and I'm like, hey Matt, it's tanking. You're like, I don't care, critics are wrong.
Shut
It's
up,
going to be
don't
great.
talk.
And then
And then when you're like, hey, how bad was it? It was like, shut up, don't talk to me.
yeah.
But I mean,
It was the reverse of Mad Max Fury Road, where you were convinced you weren't going to like it, and I made you go watch it, and you came back and said it was fantastic. This was the opposite, where you were convinced this was going to be great. I was like, Matt, it's going to be terrible. Don't go see it. And then you went to go see it, and you came back and was like, it was terrible.
And it made Pirates 5 look like a masterpiece. I saw those the same weekend.
No, that is in the biggest disappointment for significant lack of what I was promised in the trailer, which was the ghost sharks. I was promised a significant amount of ghost sharks, and they were like one scene, and that's it.
Yeah. So,
well.
But yeah, I mean, I see my. Well, I don't go to too many movies that I think that I'm iffy on. If I'm going, I'm 100% in. So, it's super rare that I end up getting disappointed, unless it's something like Alien, which I wasn't that into to begin with. But it's hard to be disappointed by like Fate of the Furious because I know exactly what I'm getting. It's like going to McDonald's and like, yeah, well, the Big Mac wasn't as good this time. It's like, what would you expect? It's a Big Mac. So,
Well,
All right, well, I guess we'll use that to wrap up. Obviously, come back for the next episode, which will be our top 10 movies of 2017. But that wraps up this one, so we'll see you for that. Obviously, if you want to let us know what your picks for all these categories are in the comments, please do that. Like, subscribe, all the usual stuff. Get us on the Twitters at mailed_fuzz for channel updates. If you want to support the channel, head over to patreon.com/mailfuzztv. There's a link to that in the description. But otherwise, that is it. So thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching movies, guys, and we'll see you next time.